That's what I was wondering. So we have to do it because of the camera?
No. If the camera, can you speak from here if the camera?
I would not because, do you have a microphone? Well, we can hold that. I guess. Do you want me to go from the camera? I think I'll change the camera positioning if you just want to do it right here.
And you can do it from up there if you want to. Yeah, and we'll just use a music stand.
I had a copy here that I was just putting. Is this yours?
Yeah, I don't need it.
Okay.
Check. Is this okay? Can I do it from here or do I need to go up there? We all right? So, well, good evening, everybody. So, thank you all for being here tonight. There may be some who are going, who's that guy in the front? And so if we haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Morris Mathis, and I'm the interim pastor while Pat is on his sabbatical, and and Pat will be back on April 1st, which seems completely appropriate, and anyway, it's great to be here with you. So here's kind of the agenda for tonight. It's just I'm going to do a welcome, well, so I'm doing now, and I'm going to do a prayer, and then we're going to go over the budget and financial update. I'm going to talk about the Long Range Planning Committee. There's a discipleship update, which Lou is doing, and then West Campus, Faithful Path Forward, that Carl is somewhere, and he's going to do that. There's going to be a missions update. Are you doing that? Carl's doing that. And then your generosity, which I think I'm doing that. So, I'm sorry? Oh, is that Christy? Yeah, you'll do yours here. Oh, I'll do that earlier. It's all well planned out. All right. So, without further ado, let's have a word of prayer. God, I give you thanks for these who have come here tonight to learn more about the church and its ministry and all that's going on. And I want to give you thanks for those who care about the business, because it's what's behind the business that is so exciting. The lives that are touched with the gospel, the ministries that have the potential to change lives, the joy that is found when your love is shared by both the one who receives it and the one who shares it. And so we just give you thanks, oh God, for the chance to be a part of this time of sharing what's going on in the ministry, but also what's going on in the business. And our prayer is you'll be glorified by everything we say and do tonight. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. And Holly Gibson, put your hands together for a really swell human being with many admirable qualities.
Thank you so much. John, I think you can put the agenda up just for them to see real quick. We went through it quickly, but I don't want to go back over Morris's thing. But this is the agenda for the night, and I'll call him back up when he's needed since I didn't tell him. So perfect. Okay, you can go to the next slide, John. Oh, and John can kind of stand up and wave. He's our new AV coordinator. So everybody welcome John. We're appreciative that he's here. So this is the financial update. Y'all are used to me doing this. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the executive director. And so this is always my little stint in the night's agenda. So the first slide is the 24 versus 23 revenue expense. So this is last year. What happened last year? A lot of you have seen this if you've been to the lay leadership or the town hall. You're at the town hall now, or the church council meeting. But basically the way we ended last year was just a little bit slightly under the way we ended year 2023. So about 2.7% less at $2.9 million in revenue, and about 2.5% with $3.1 million in expenses. What's the good thing is they were almost equivalent as to how much we were down on revenue and we were down on expenses, so that was helpful. The next slide you guys have in your packet. This is the budget we had for 2024 and the actuals. And the notable thing here is that almost all categories were under budget. So that was our ministry areas did an amazing job. Our SPRC did an amazing job of keeping the budget down. And then trustees was slightly up, but they still did an amazing job because we had an 11% increase in our insurance, our property insurance. And so they were able to stay pretty close to the budget even within that. So that was really a great work on the trustees' part. The next slide is our apportionments. So we paid all of our district apportionments, all of our conference apportionments, but we paid none of our general apportionments. And the reason we did that was to carry over money for this year because we are carrying another deficit budget. So I'll take you to the next slide. Just to give you a quick capital campaign update, we had a total pledge of about $2.15 million. $742,000 came in 2024. We paid $255,000 in interest and principal and $269,000 in interest. And for those of you who know loans, as you continue to pay down principal, those numbers will flip-flop, and we're getting close. So just to kind of the next slide, we started the year with just about $3.9 million, and we paid as of this end of month, January, we paid down $400,000 in principal. So that is lowering our interest, thankfully. Next slide shows you our 2025 approved budget. So we left our projected revenue flat. We are hoping that we will kind of continue to see a recovery here this year. Our projected expenses actually came down quite a bit to $3.2 million, or almost 3.3. And as you see, that's a deficit of $182,000. And so that is something the Finance Committee is very committed to eliminating this year. So they're working hard on the plan for that. What we did, we brought over $63,000. And for those of you who add, you're like, where are the other $120,000 going to come from? There's a couple of places. One, we have some restricted funds that we have kind of pushed as we can use these, like we have a church restricted fund that we think we can use $10,000 out of if we needed to, and then a trustees restricted fund for another $10,000, and then offsetting like care ministry with some of its funds. So there are some places we can pull money. We didn't do that in January because we actually, and I'll show you this in a minute, but we ended up flat in January, so we didn't need to. We also had a large donation come in February that's going to help give us a little breathing room. So that's the other piece of that. And the remainder of the deficit, if we were to get to where we were spending out everything, would be we would go back to those the general and conference apportionments. I need to take off jurisdictional because that's actually not the right language. The next slide was just those restricted funds I referred to. Children's ministries is the other, and special needs and pastors' discretionary places we could pull from. So we're just waiting. We don't want to do that if we don't have to. So that's the plan there. All right, so this is going into, you have this in your packet because you can't really see it up there that well, but this is the actual line item budget for 2025 as compared to 2024. Almost all budgets stayed flat. You'll see a couple of places that went completely away, and I want to speak to both of those. First off is the principal that we were paying out of the budget, and we were paying about $60,000 a year the last couple of years out of the budget. We hope to be able to do that, but we didn't want to commit to being able to do that. So that's one of the things we could trim off. We pay principal out of capital as it comes in, so we're able to kind of make those lump sum payments from there. The other one is missions, and this is a bigger deal. So the Missions Committee raises restricted funds through a lot of their fundraising efforts through the year, mostly Piccadilly. Last year they didn't spend any budget money, which was on their, they had made that decision, and so they only used restricted funds. This year we actually cut it, but that being said, we received another donation to Missions for $15,000. So we're able actually to have more money than normal out of restricted, so that kind of covers that difference. But we're immediately putting that back as soon as we recover from where we're at right now. But it is very important to our church, and I just wanted you guys to know, even without it in the budget, they do a lot of work and have money that they use, and Carl will talk more to some of that here in a minute. Finally, the last slide is, and also in your packet, this is what comes in the connection. This is our scorecard. Finance is actually working on improving this scorecard, so possibly by next month you'll see a little bit different scorecard that hopefully has a little more information for you. But this just shows you, like I said, that we ended up pretty much flat in January. We brought in $238,000 and spent $239,000 essentially. So January turned out to be a decent month. Without the large donation, February would not have been as great. So that is still something we want to be careful as we go forward in how we spend our money. One of the things that we're doing is when people leave their positions at the church, we're looking at how can we possibly not replace that position exactly as is. So we've been doing some of that through attrition so that our current staff, that they're all secure in their positions. So that's, but if you have any questions, this is a great time. If you want to ask financials or if you think of something at the end, you're welcome either way. Is there a question back there? Yeah, I'm bring. I think that's Tony back there, if I can see correctly.
So you were talking about the interest versus principal line item and the $60,000 in the budget, but did we ever pay any interest from operating funds last year?
So we paid all principal from operating, no interest. We paid the interest out of the capital funds.
So you're saying that we didn't use the pledged money to pay off the principal?
We did. We used the budget money to pay off principal. The capital money that came in pays both principal and interest.
Yeah. So we had a budget of $60,000, but we didn't spend any of that $60,000.
We did last year. Yes, we put it to principal. 100% last year went to principal. We just don't have it in the budget for this year. In the budget, it'll still come out of the restricted funds.
Okay.
I've noticed that the Faithful Foundation income or giving was $843,000, but we only paid down $400,000 of the debt.
Right. So that's the interest.
That's only $270,000 a year. So
I'm sorry. What?
that's only $270,000 a year. So there's still $130,000.
So the income that comes in, we keep some of it in the account. If you come to the finance, and I can send you the financials, but we have an account that's the capital account that we keep 6 months of interest in it to be certain, because we don't know how the revenue comes in. So we always keep that in the account for interest. Answer your question? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, if you think of anything else, then we will definitely, you can ask again. And I think this is where Morris gets to come back up. You can go to the next slide.
So this will be a little bit of a replay for those that were in the sanctuary this morning. But they were asking, they said, look, there'll be people that, at the meeting tonight that weren't in the sanctuary and they need to see this. I said, well, okay. So, this, hopefully everybody got a copy of this little stair step thing. Hopefully everybody got one. What it shows is kind of a breakdown of how folks gave in support of the operating budget of the church in 2024. And so beneath each step, it kind of shows what it was on for this particular step, what it was on a weekly basis, and then if you annualize it, what it would be for the year. And so, so what I'm going to share with you is how many families, households gave for each step. And a household could be one person, it could be two people, it could be 8 people. So it just, but it's a household. And this is members who attended at least one time in 2024. And it's total giving to the operating budget. Doesn't include anything for special projects or anything like that. So, so here we go. We'll just kind of walk our way through this. So for 0, it was 739. So that means we have 739 families or households of which we have no record of them giving. Now, let's be clear. That doesn't mean we have 739 families that didn't give anything. It could be a number of those families just gave cash. They gave in a way where we have no way of having a record of it. But it's also possible that there's a number of them that really did not give anything. We just don't know. But 739 were on that first step. Okay, then you go to the second one, and it was, that number was 311, which means we had 311 families that gave less than $1,000 through the course of the year, or less than $20 a week. So y'all kind of see how this goes. So here we go. Next slide, or next step, is 96 families that gave between $1,000 and $2,000, or $20 to $28 a week. The next step is 131 who gave between $2,000 and $3,000 over the course of the whole year. That's 131. The next one is 63 gave between $4,000 and $6,000 during the course of the year. 54 families gave between $6,000 and $10,000 during the course of the year. 54. 36 gave between $10,000 and $15,000 last year. 23 families gave between $15,000 and $25,000 last year. 7 families gave $25,000 to $40,000 a year, and then 5 gave over $40,000 during the course of the year. And I'm not going to rehash the whole sermon unless you want me to. But the idea here is that, you know, what I know everybody is doing is they're going, well, where am I on that thing? I mean, you know, if you give monthly, it doesn't show monthly, but you can do the math and figure out, you know, where you are on that thing. And just to ask the question, you know, the sermon this morning was on generosity. And to ask the question, wherever you are giving, are you giving generously? And the thing I emphasized and would emphasize tonight, generosity is contextual. I told a little story this morning about me making a $5 a week commitment to the church, and I sort of struggled to fulfill that commitment. And so there was a Sunday where I plopped the $5 in there, and I really didn't know how I was going to get from that day to when I was going to get paid again. And since that time, my wife and I have given a lot of money to churches and organizations and been proud to be able to do it. But I don't know that I was ever any more generous than I was that day. So it's not that the folks who are able to give those, you know, big dollar numbers, we're grateful for them, but it's not like, those are the generous ones. Those folks at the bottom, they're not generous. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Where you are is where you are. And just the question is, am I giving generously? Am I giving generously? And if not, then could you go up one step? Or maybe that's too big a leap. Maybe you could go, maybe you're on the left edge of the step. Well, can you go to the right edge of the step? You see what I'm saying? So anyway, so just wanted to share that, and just as food for thought as we think about financial stewardship. This would have gone a lot better if I'd had a baby that would like laugh at a crucial moment, and those that were in the 10:30 service in the sanctuary will know exactly what I'm referring to. So anyway, I think that's really all that I had to say. And so now up next is. Oh, questions. Okay. Okay, do I do long range now? Okay. I think it's long range next. Yeah, it is. Long range planning. So, so you have in your packet a couple of documents. One of them is called an audacious proposal. And the other one is called, I think, long range planning committee proposal or something like that. So, first of all, let's talk about the audacious proposal. When I started with y'all on January I think it was January the 5th, had my first Sunday here. It was great, had a great time. And so then started meeting with the staff, and it's like on Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, we were having a staff meeting, and they were going around the table, and they were talking about different things that are going on. There's a lot going on in this church, all, great stuff. So I was listening to all that, and so after listening to all that, I asked the question, I said, what is coming up that's like out there in the future that like unites the church with excitement and vision and direction and focus in its ministry? What big thing is out there that everybody's looking toward? And they all just kind of sat there. And they said, we don't have that right now. And so I said to him, I said, I want to cut you some slack here, because you moved into the West Campus, which was just an amazing accomplishment, and then here we go. We got COVID. And then, bang, we got the disaffiliation season. And then, bang, we got all the drama that took place last year out on West Campus. And that for the last, basically, I'd say the last 5 years or so, y'all been doing good just to put one foot in front of another. I mean, the fact that you're as strong as you are is a miracle in itself. But I said to him, I said, I just think 2025 is the year to say, we're going to put all that behind us. And it's time for us to look to the future. And so, so you got the 3-month interim guy that's been here 4 days, and he's got the nerve to say, y'all need to have a long-range planning committee. And so anyway, I kind of started shopping that idea around to some of the leaders, and they all kind of went, yeah, we probably need to do that. So I wrote up that thing, and that's why I called it an audacious proposal, because I recognized the absurdity of it. And so I presented it to the church council, and they bit. They went for it. They said, yeah, we think this is a good idea. So, and I'm not going to read the thing for you. I mean, y'all are smart, you can read it. So me and some of the leaders got together and kind of asked the question, okay, what's the job of this group? And so we created this other document that kind of tries to kind of line out our understanding of what their job is. And then we're going to have a lay leadership or nominating committee meeting, whatever you want to call it, in March to kind of begin to think about who ought to serve on this thing. Now, if you read the document, what you'll see is anything we do to lay the groundwork for this is just a draft. Nothing is final until Pat gets back and he sort of gets, gets his heart and mind around all this, and then works with the leadership of the church to finalize all this. I also want to say, I'll be honest, I didn't visit with Pat about this. Part of the thing about this interim thing is that there's sort of this separation, and that, if somebody's on a sabbatical and you call them, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Then they're not on a sabbatical. But I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't fully believe that Pat would be supportive of it. And the leadership of the church agreed. Now, he'll be all over this. So anyway, so that's kind of the story of how that little thing came to be. And so we just wanted to kind of put that in front of you, and just so you're aware of it. And if you have any questions, be glad to answer questions about it. But that's the thing. That's what you got in front of you. So I don't know. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything like that about this thing? Not everybody at once. Get a turn. Okay. Well, I'm excited for you. I think you'll do good work, and I think you'll craft a great vision that's going to, lead you into the future that God has for you. So anyway, so that's, I'm sorry? Okay, and now, here's Lou. He's going to talk about discipleship.
Do I get the microphone? So, if you don't know me, I'm Lou Lefevre. I know a lot of you. I'm on the discipleship committee. I recently got told it was the discipleship and evangelism committee. And so I'm going to talk about both of them for just a second. He's laughing because I think he's the one that told us that.
You don't have to tell everything.
But it's fun. And I wanted to say something about evangelism first, because that kind of comes before the discipleship part. And, Morris did that sermon last week where he talked about evangelism. Well, we have Fat Tuesday coming up Tuesday, and then Lent starts on Wednesday, and then we have Easter on April 20th. Well, in the next month or so here, we're going to have a lot of people, I think, come into our church to visit, especially on Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. And a lot of us, and I'm totally guilty of this, I come up here, I go through my motions, I go sit down, I don't really look around a lot of times that much. I mean, maybe y'all are guilty. I know I'm guilty of it. But when it comes to Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday, I always see people I don't know. A lot of times they're visitors. And quite honestly, we're the only faces that Jesus has to work with to welcome people, to shake their hand. It may be sad, but that we're it. This is what he has, is us. And so I want everybody to be aware of that, especially on Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. If you see somebody who looks lost, doesn't know where they're going, has a question, those are, Morris talked about asking our neighbors. Well, our neighbors are going to be here. They're going to come here. So I hope everybody will be mindful of that and, look around for folks that aren't sure where they are, where they're going, and help out the staff and the other folks, the greeters and all who are doing that. So then on the discipleship thing, usually Whitney's head of our committee, so usually she would be doing this, but I think she's on an airplane or somewhere.
I think she landed this afternoon.
She landed this afternoon, but we didn't want her to have to come do this after getting off an airplane, okay? So in terms of discipleship, the committee's been working on several things, but during Lent, there's always special things that we try to do during Lent. And there's several studies or what have you that are going to be going on just for the Lenten season. A lot of y'all know Mark Adams. He's a retired Methodist minister here at the church. And last Wednesday, at 6:30. Mark started a course called Discovery of the Legacy of John and Charles Wesley. It meets in E106 at 6:30. And I asked Mark, okay, if they missed the first week, can they come anyway? He goes, oh, absolutely. So if Mark knows a lot about the history of the Wesley, so if you're interested, or if you know someone who might be interested who says, hey, who's John Wesley anyway? Because there are people like that, okay? Tell them about Mark's course. Sometimes word of mouth around here works the best, especially when you have a new website, and we're all trying to learn the new website. Thank you, Christy. So also, Christy is going to be doing something during Lent, so I'm going to make her stand up and let her tell you what it is.
Okay. Hi. So I am, during the season of Lent, I'm going to do another 4-week study on a different spiritual practice. I started doing this in the beginning of the year, kind of working 4 weeks at a time through different spiritual practices. So we've done the practice of prayer, we've done practicing Sabbath, which we are finishing up this week, and so then on March 19th, we will start another 4-week practice of fasting. So just to go along with the season of Lent, and so these are really good Bible studies. They're the kind of Bible study that you actually do. You go home and your homework is to actually do what you've been taught, which I hope all Bible studies are like that in some way. But so I'm excited about this one, and then we'll go from there. Keep going on with the different practices. I also was going to speak for Chad, who is at a mega youth event tonight. So go United Methodist Connectionalism. He's together with a bunch of different student ministries from different United Methodist churches around our district, and they're all having a good time together out at Katy First. So he's not here tonight, but just wanted to point to the opportunity of growing on the go with the This Day podcast. If you've never heard it or done what Chad does every single day, there is opportunities for devotion, prayer, scripture, and meditation on the podcast. Really accessible. He likes to say that some people will go walk their dog and just kind of spend time in prayer there, or find a quiet place to just sit down with a journal and journal, or maybe you're driving to work. But it's a really good way to incorporate that daily practice into your daily rhythms, and Lent's a good time to start.
Thank you, Christy. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to walk back here and grab Carl. I'll make him stand up, because he's going to do something during Lent.
I think we have a lot of people who are obsessed with John Wesley at this church. During Lent, I'm going to be doing a study where we look at some historical questions that John Wesley would have asked a lot of his preachers. So we're going to be doing the Wesley Challenge starting March 19th every Wednesday over at the West Campus from 6 o'clock to 7:30.
Thanks, Carl. And then, last but not least, there's going to be another course that's going to start March 26th at 7 o'clock up here at the campus, and it's going to be John Wesley, A Layperson's Perspective. And I'm going to teach that course. Some of y'all may or may not know, but I spent several years spending my lunch hours at St. Luke's when I used to work downtown, reading his journals and everything. And I did this course about 30 years ago before we had PCs and you could make presentations like this and everything. And so I've kind of been writing this thing, putting it together, but it's strictly a perspective on John Wesley from a layperson's perspective. And that'll be a 3-week course that goes from 7 to 8:30. So those are some of the things we have going on during the Lenten season. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it. Lots going on. So as Carl is making his way up to talk about West Campus Faithful Path Forward, if you encounter somebody that you're looking at them at church and you're thinking, are they a visitor? Do I need to be nice to them? What's going but you're not sure, what's the question? You come up, you introduce yourself, what's the question you ask them? How long have you been attending our church? That's all you got to do. Is how long have you been attending? And if they, yes, a greeting time? Yeah, she's saying, yeah. 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 Right.
They're here at the service. They're here at the service, and they have the opportunity to turn around or to the side or go across the aisle. And I personally would love that.
Yeah, there's
even if I'm in the choir.
What you're saying is exactly right. A lot of churches do that. I always kind of did it. There's kind of mixed philosophies on that because there's also the argument that that's very awkward for people who are visiting, that they feel, but there are those who say differently. So there's, in my opinion, there's no wrong or right on that one because I always kind of liked it, but I'm an extrovert, right? And so anyway, but a lot of churches do that, and yeah, I've noticed this church doesn't do it. Whether you want to add it or not, I don't know. It's up to y'all. Oh, that's how you met your husband? Yeah. Wow, that's quite a greeting time. So, wow. So, anyway, but yeah, I mean, for me, if you're not sure, if you're hesitant about going up to somebody, because you don't want to say, "Hey, welcome to our church," and they go, "I've been here 20 years," Well, then you say, "Hey, how you doing? I don't know that we've met. How long have you been coming to our church?" And then if they've been here 20 years, oh, it's great. But if they say, "Oh, it's my first time," well, now you're off to the races. So anyway, okay, take it away, Carl.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's funny, we were back there chuckling when Lou brought up one John Wesley study, and then I brought up another John Wesley study, and he brought up another John Wesley study. And, sometimes the Holy Spirit works that way. And it's really funny because right before Pat left, I'd come to Pat and I said, we need to do something over at West Campus because it's been a rough 6-7 months at that point, and we need to figure out a way to move forward. And so we really need to be visioning for what the future at West Campus looks like. And, Morris comes and his third day in the office, he says, what are we doing here to figure out what's the next big thing? And I say, that's exactly what we're talking about at West Campus. And so for the last couple weeks, and we have one more coming up, we have met 5 times as of right now. We have one more meeting. We canceled one because I had COVID last week, but we have one more meeting next Sunday where we've really been asking the question, if you want to move forward one slide, we've really been asking the questions, who is our community? So what is that Fulshear community? Because, every church in the country would want to be exactly where West Campus is right now. We are in the fastest growing community in the United States of America. When I moved here, it was the second fastest. Now it's the fastest growing community in the entire country. And so every church wants to be where we are. We recognize a little bit about the incredible growth in this little polygon I drew. It's 7,000 people to 209,000 people by the year 2033 is the projection as of right now. We talked about that. We talked about household income in the area. We talked about some stuff about our church. We talked about what our attendance looks like. We talked about some of our giving patterns. We talked a lot about a lot of different things. And then we focused on our church. We talked about St. Peter's, what our mission and vision is. And what's our mission, everybody? Oh, man, we can mumble that together. That is impressive. I loved it. I heard the right answer. It's connecting the world with God's love. And then we talked about the vision, which, don't worry, barely anybody knew it at West Campus either. But if we remember what those 4 G's are, what were those 4 G's? We're going to see those on the screen in a little bit. If you know those 4 things, you're basically going to understand what our vision is. And that is, Christy was saying it, to be known as faithful followers of Jesus Christ by serving and welcoming our neighbors. And so you can get all 4 G's in there. We talked about all this stuff, and then we talked about 2 really important questions. Really, what do we love about this place? Why are we here? Why did we come here? And what do we believe that God is calling us to focus on, to put our resources into over at West Campus? And some of the answers we have gotten have been fascinating. We've gotten answers about why people love it and how people got there. We've heard that people came there because they saw balloons, that people came there because they wanted to try something new. They'd been at Kingsland and they wanted to try going to school for church for a while. We have heard answers from people who have been part of St. Peter's for 50 years now, saying, I wanted to go somewhere where it felt like it was when we started St. Peter's. And so we've had that answer. When I asked students, because I said we had 5, we've had 4 adult ones, and we had 1 student one this past Wednesday. I asked the students, what do you love about this place? And multiple students said, we love that this is a safe place. St. Peter's is safety for us. Our students are walking into schools today and not knowing what's going to happen. We have kids who statistically are walking into their homes at the end of the day and not knowing what's going to happen. And we provide a place at St. Peter's between both campuses where students can come in and they know they are going to be loved unconditionally no matter who they are or where they're from or who their parents are. They're going to be loved. And so we get to recognize, we've gotten to recognize how God has been and is at work over at West Campus. And we have been so thankful for that. And here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk as West Campus. We're going to look at the videos of all of these different gatherings and look at all the notes from all these different gatherings and say, where is it? Where are some of the things that we have heard God is calling us towards? We've heard people talk about mission. We've heard people talk about student and children ministry especially. And we've heard people talk about how we welcome people and bring people into this church. Really, those are the big areas that we've heard people talk about and focus on. And we're going to have a report later on. And it was so really providential that Morris said, we want to do long-range planning at this church. Because I said, we're going to get to come to long-range planning as West Campus and share some of the work that we have already done and say, look, God is ready to do something here. And we're so excited for it. Are y'all excited for that? Oh my word, I'm so excited for that. So we're going to move forward and talk about something else I'm excited about. We're going to talk about mission. I'm going to fly through these slides because we're going to do something we don't normally do at these town halls. I'm going to have a back and forth with all of you as much as possible because I want to hear some things from you. First off, Big Missions Month. What's coming up this month for missions? CWOW, Church Without Walls. If you've never heard of CWOW before, we're going to be getting the Sign Up Genius out incredibly fast in the next few days and make sure that all of you have access to it because there are a ton of different things you can sign up for because we're a church that's called to go. Remember one of those G's? We're called to go and to do God's work in the community. So some of the stuff for missions I just want to run through. You heard that we have had to drop the missions portion of the budget. The day before we learned that, we'd sent $2,000 over to Hope Impacts for a new washer and dryer for their brand new place. We'd sent $3,000 out over to California for wildfires. And we said, what were we thinking? Well, we were thinking that God was going to take care of us. And God has, because we were given a gift of $15,000, which was our budget for the year that we were going to be asking the church for. And so you'll see in the last year, we didn't use much of our we didn't use any of our budgeted money this past year. And so you'll see that we have some balances that are lower at the end of the year than they were at the second half of the year. These are our restricted accounts, and you can see the big one here is Missions General Account. It's about $7,000 lower. If we go to the next slide, you'll be able to see some of our other restricted accounts, our ministry restricted accounts, and you'll see that Piccadilly really helped us to run things as well as CWOW. We had a special offering last year at Easter for CWOW that helped to fund it, and this past year during Christmas we had another special offering that helped us to fund CWOW. And so you'll see at the total in the next slide the total between the restricted and designated accounts. We are about $17,000 lower now than we were last year. That as of December 31st. I'm giving you the end of 2024 numbers here. I'm not giving you the funds that have come in, but we are lower as far as mission goes, which means that missions was using money and using funds and taking care of people in our neighborhoods. Now, Where do some of these mission funds go? These mission funds, in-house missions, we have some fundraisers. We have some great fundraisers like the Chili Cook-Off for Jamaica Missions. We have the Piccadilly Market. But these kind of fundraisers are going towards things like Tamaron Elementary, West Memorial Elementary, our Churches Without Walls, our food pantries, and if you continue, they're also going towards some of our nonprofit partners. And some of those key partners are Christ Clinic, one of those is Clothed by Faith, Hope Impacts, Katie Responds, which has gotten busier again in the last year. There is Raise Up Families and Fam Houston. We have some amazing nonprofit partners that we're so thankful to work with, and you don't even see some of the ones on here. Over at West Campus, we're starting to work with Family Hope Fulsher. You saw them in the last slide for the food pantry. We're working with them on other things as well. One of the things I've noticed in my last 6 or 7 months here is that our church, people at our church do a ton of missions activity that the missions committee doesn't even hear about because people just go out and they take it upon themselves to do missions. And so I wanted to take a few minutes and ask if anybody would be willing to raise their hand and celebrate something in the last 6 months or even 12 months where you have been or have seen God at work in us in the community or outside of our community. Where have we seen missions at work at St. Peter's in the last 6 to 12 months? Yes, Faye.
Hello. Keys went to Houston Food Bank last Friday. 17 of us. It was fun. We got to sort things.
We saw the picture of that, and I said, why didn't Faye share that with me so we could share it with the rest of the church? And I think we shared it. Keys did great work out at the Houston Food Bank. Where else have we seen mission at our church? The crochet ministry, yes. Over at West Campus, I love seeing the crochet ministry, our quilting ministry. I have family members who, before I even came to this church, received stuff from this church. And you know, my family, they're out in Virginia and in Ohio and elsewhere around the country, and this church is reaching out to them. Absolutely. Perfect example. Jamie.
So our life group recently served dinner for Hope Impact, but as a funny coincidence, when we actually went to do our training and our tour, it was another group from St. Peter's that was also serving dinner at Hope Impact. So that was a fun coincidence.
Yes, that is wonderful. Lou.
So New Beginnings has been serving dinners over at Hope Impacts for a whole bunch of years, and we did that, I guess it was in November. And then the Monday Morning Men served dinner at Hope Impacts November, December, and then we did it just again 2-3 weeks ago.
And they had great barbecue. Where'd we get that barbecue from? Some guy. Excellent. Jennifer. I'm looking at Jennifer next to you. Linda is, everybody wave at Linda. Linda's in charge of everything. She has gotten every bit of wax off every candle that we used for Christmas Eve. She finished this week. Seriously, give her a hand. She's been at work for 2 months on that. But she is also the chair of our mission team.
Oh, thank you. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I do want to speak for Chad because he does, well, the connectional, they do a thing called Bridge, and I was privileged to get to go with them last year. You know, what's a mission trip here and there? So, anyways, they went to FAM, and in those muddy fields, they pulled weeds and did all kinds of things, and they put together some tables that were used for their new greenhouse. I mean, those kids did a lot of stuff, and I know that they're going to do something great this year. I don't know what they're going to do. But our youth are going out regularly to do mission.
Absolutely. They did Bridge last year. They did UM Army. Our youth choir, they go out and do work. I know that our student ministry, they regularly do things with Clothed by Faith. They're always looking for different ways to be active. And even going further than youth, our children's, I think our 5th graders do mission projects. Right, Alyssa? She's the one with the microphone.
I do. I've been running it to all of you. at VBS every summer to help transition those 5th graders who aren't quite ready to serve as a teen volunteer yet. They do a stint at VBS called 5th Grade Missions, where they have a modified schedule at Vacation Bible School and undertake a couple of different mission projects that support a partnership amongst the community. And this year is the first year we're getting to replicate that over at West Campus for West's VBS this summer, to have the space in the portable to be able to run a 5th grade missions team over at West and to continue that over here at Kingsland. I will say Wednesdays for Chad also. The midweek teen group on Wednesday nights at Kingsland campus do a serve component most Wednesdays. Sometimes it's Clothed by Faith, sometimes it's cards for assisted living homes nearby and the partnerships that they've cultivated there. So student ministry is also, quite regularly serving. Any others?
We got 2 more right here in these couple front rows. We're going to go right behind you, and then we're going to hand you the microphone so people can hear you.
Okay. I just want to mention Stephen Ministry. Approximately 50% of the people that we visit with who are going through difficult times are not members of St. Peter's. And if anybody wants to know something about Stephen Ministry, come and talk to us.
And how long has Stephen Ministry been at this church as of this past year? 30 years.
Consecutively, all 30 years. So
yeah.
I'm going to say something else.
Pass it right in front of you. There we go. I know you don't want that microphone, but you sound so good.
I just think that we need to do more to publicize these events during worship service to engender enthusiasm for what's going on, because even the connection, it's black and white there. And even the slides are not the same, but there's something about a person getting up there and saying, this week I did this. I can remember years ago the kids coming back from UM Army, and they're all wound up. And that's what we need.
Thank you so much, and that is important feedback. It really is. And if you are doing something, or you know someone who's doing something, make sure me or Crystal in the back there, Crystal, wave your hand. Crystal's our West Campus Ministry Assistant, but she's also our Communications Assistant. Or Christy knows about that stuff so that we can make sure that it gets shared. Because we do want to celebrate that stuff. That's important stuff that we want to celebrate in church. We want to celebrate it online in the connection. We want to celebrate it with videos and pictures on Facebook or other social media. We know not everybody uses that, but it's a great way to connect with our community, to share what we're doing as a church. Let's do one more. Does anybody have one more? Yes, Elizabeth.
I'm a member of Mission of Motherhood here on the Kingsland campus, and every year Mission of Motherhood we pick at least one service project, and this semester we're doing the Adam Macaulay Foundation, which serves children who have lost a parent to cancer, and we're doing birthday boxes for them so that they can receive a special gift on their birthday.
That is awesome. See, that's something I wouldn't have known about. Thank you. We're going to need pictures, okay? Excellent. Thank you. Friends, we could keep going if we really wanted to. We could go for a couple hours. God is working here at St. Peter's, and I am so thankful that you all are a part of that and that we all get to be a part of that together.
Yeah, cool. Very good. Peter Steinke is a church consultant. He said whenever he goes into a church that's kind of going through terrible times, all that, he says 100% of the time, that church has gotten in that place because they've turned inward. And that as long as we are looking outward and asking, how can we serve? How can we make a difference? How can we serve our mission field? How can we show the love of Christ? Then that's when we're being the Church of Jesus Christ, and that's what you're doing now. So that's great stuff. Oh, Linda, where did you go? Oh, there you are. You're under the blanket. So I just want to say, have you finished the candle holder project? She's almost finished. She's in the office like almost every day, getting, cleaning off the candle holders from Christmas Eve. And I've thought to myself so many times, We should call her the Karate Kid, you know, wax on. Sorry. So, okay, Christy is going to talk about your generosity.
I gotta take it from you after that, yeah. No, I'm kidding. No, but really, what a great, honestly, you know, what a great example of the radical hospitality that we want to have at this church. Truly, that someone has spent 2 months scraping off the wax that got on the candle holders so that the person who holds it next Christmas Eve will have a clean candle holder. So, radical hospitality. Yes, yeah, applaud. So I want to talk a little bit to you guys about your generosity and where we've seen that at work. There's just so many ways. There are so many ways that we have seen your generosity at work. Carl talked about a bunch of them. We could have gone on and on into every single ministry area of our church. I want to talk about two things specifically. And there are two people who will remain anonymous that funded these particular things. These people that funded particular needs that we had on top of continuing to give regularly. Continuing to just fund the regular operating needs of our church, but seeing an extra above and beyond need and saying, I can do something about that, and doing it. So you all know that we had, what do we have first? Yes, okay, so we have a new website. So I am personally so excited about the new website, maybe more than anyone else at this church, but so excited that it is officially launched. So back in September of last year, if you remember, we had a little shindig called Spurs and Sparkles. Our St. Peter's Gala. I haven't decided how we say that, potato, but we had a fun time together, and this was an opportunity for us to do a little bit of fundraising for some specific ministry area needs. So being over communications, we have gotten, since I've been here, and since like 2020, and probably before that, I've heard over and over, our website is just not good. You know, and it was a huge undertaking to launch a new website, so it took some time. We decided, you know what, if we get enough funding to be able to cover that, we could actually do it. We were in a good place where we could actually launch a new website. So we put that out there as a opportunity for sponsorship, and we were gifted by one individual to be able to cover the cost of a new website. This covered the migration of our old website into a new platform, into a new website host. It was many hours of work that we didn't have to do, even though after that we had to do many more hours of work, but it was significant to being able to launch a new website. So this is honestly the front door of our church for so many people. We've heard it time and time again. In fact, there's someone that goes to the West Campus that started attending our church regularly through online when they were living in Colorado, knowing that they were moving out to Fulshire. Right? So this is, that's just one example, but this happens over and over again, that somebody is a little timid about, going to church. They're doing a little bit of research. They go onto Google and find a church in their area, and they go to the website and they poke around a little bit and see if that's the church that they want to go to. Now, I will say, we've had a lot of people join the church in the past 5 years, right? I mean, we've had people come to this church. I know personally many people who have come to the church, some of you in this room that have been here just in the last 5 years. And that was with the old website. That was with the bad website, right? I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was pretty terrible. So with the new website, I'm just hopeful that we're able to be a fresh front door for people, be hospitable, that they can go find what they're looking for, and for you guys to be able to find what you're looking for, and then be able to point other people to it and easily navigate it and get plugged in. There's a lot of new features on this website where we're able to feature more events that are happening, to plug people into things that some of these recurring events like quilting and the sewing ministries, right, that happen all the time, but we're not as well featured on our old website. So now we're able to put them right there on the events page, make them searchable, make sure that people are able to find these things. And groups as well. There's a groups feature on our website, on our Grow page, that's going to help people get plugged into groups that are regularly meeting. So lots of really cool stuff with that. And it's evolving, so if you notice any broken links or anything, like I said, I want us to be able to be as hospitable as possible. So please reach out to me or Crystal, letting us know that there is anything that we can do to fix it. Yes, we have a question in the back. Yes, Sunday schools are listed on the website under the same Grow feature, so you can go and find Sunday schools. You can even filter by the kind of the lifestyle, the phase of life that you're in. If you're specifically like a young parent with young kids that you can find, you can search by that, and by campus. So really, really neat. Any other questions about the website before I move on, in case there were any? Okay, well, let Crystal and I know, we're open to feedback only if it's good, so. Okay, the other thing that, and I don't think we have yes we do, so we had another individual who graciously saw the need for screens in Lott Hall. So we've previously had a big screen that came down right in front of the beautiful window that has the cross and the trees outside. And so, we also had a projector that would project the image onto the screen. And if you worship in the element, you know that, like, I don't know, 6 Sundays out of 10, those aren't working. So we would always have screen troubles. There was some pretty terrible wiring that had happened at some point, or it was just got old. It just needed some regular maintenance. But the projector was beginning to continue to give us problems. Again, like unable to be as hospitable as we want to be on a Sunday morning for people. The other issue was that Chad made the joke this morning that you basically needed a degree to know how to run the projector and the computers in the AV booth. We have tons of outside groups that come and use our facilities. We have groups within our church that use it regularly, that use Lott Hall for all sorts of things. I'm sure probably every single one of you have been in Lott Hall for something outside of a worship service. So a lot of groups come in, but we also have outside groups that come in, and there was a need for AV, a specific AV person, to be able to be there to run their slides when it could have been something really easy. And so what this did is it allowed us to rewire some things that needed to be rewired so that we could have screens on either side of the stage, and set us up in a place where outside groups can come in, or any group can come in and easily mirror to the screens, mirror to the TV. You don't need a special degree or extra special knowledge in how to run this. And to be able to run their events, whatever's going on. Also on Sunday mornings, it's just, for us aesthetically, it's beautiful to be able to see that cross outside and to see God's creation through that window. It gives us just really a beautiful picture. And it's nice for me when I'm referencing something on the screen that I don't have to do this, which was all the way directly behind me. So it's a gift, and it was a gift that a single individual said, I can take care of that. I know I can give, and I can do that on top of what I'm already giving. So this is kind of second mile giving, as we refer to it. That I know our gala offers opportunities to do that each year, but there's always opportunities to give above and beyond. And these are just some simple ways that that really help us be as hospitable as we can be at this church and continue to connect people with God's love.
Good job. They really did do a great job on the website. I've kind of fooled around on it. And what I really love about the website is that if you open it up on your computer, it'll scroll through just pictures just of life, you know, here at the church. And Julia Jordan, a young lady, came in and took some pictures, and she just did a great job taking the pictures. What I love the most is there's a picture of me up there preaching, and there's no pictures of Pat. Well done. Now, I know that's going to have to change. I know. But I can enjoy it for a few weeks. So anyway, all right. So I think we come now to question time. And so any questions about anything that's been presented or anything that you came here wanting to ask about or that came up that you didn't get to ask and you wanted to? This is your opportunity. Going once, going twice. I think we're ready to go home. So, you know, as I said this morning, this is just such an amazing place. And, you know, like fish in the water, you know, the fish don't think about the water, it just is. And y'all may not really realize how great this place is. But I'm just telling you, it's very special. And it's special for a whole lot of reasons, but it's in large measure, it's special because it's got a bunch of folks that are just trying to be faithful. And that's pretty awesome. So, anyway, why don't we stand and we'll have a closing prayer. So, Carl, come on up. You pray in public, don't you?
All right, let's pray, friends. Almighty God, we give you thanks for this place, where your Holy Spirit moves through and where we are able to interact with you. God, as we prepare to go forth, help us to recognize that your Holy Spirit goes from this place with us. You prepare a place for us wherever we go. So God, help us to see you at work. Help us to see your goodness making a way for us in the world. And help us to be that goodness for others. God, continue to sustain this church that we might continue your ministry in this Katy and Fulshire area so that so many people would know your love. God, help us to connect them with that love. Amen. Go in peace.